Guys, welcome back to another video. Peter Kennedy, Kennedy's Garage. What have we got today? We have a 2009 Lexus RX400h. What I have is knock sensor A open circuit fault. Have had an apprentice on this, so the apprentice has taken off a couple of bits of plastic and stuff around here, air boxes and a few little bits and pieces that are thrown here on my trolley, covers off. Now, what I believe, I can't see this on the internet at all. I can see RX300s, but I can't see RX400s. But what I'm believing is that it's in here underneath the intake manifold. Actually, there's two of them, I believe, in here underneath the intake manifold. Now, knock sensor A is my fault, so I'm just going to get in. I'm going to start doing a bit of stripping here. I'm going to take off this plastic intake, and then there's an aluminium intake down here, which I'm thinking we might be able to get at once this is off. It's a V6, so there's two banks there. So we've a rank of bolts here and we've a rank of bolts there. And I think there's a knock sensor on that bank and on that bank. So what we're going to after is, right now, it was relatively handy. The plastic, as I said, they were taken off easily by a chap. And then I have a couple of bolts sitting around here, and this plasticky bit, get off this throttle body, and maybe there's a bracket of some sort holding or supporting that thing from, you know, rattling and breaking. I'm going to get at these things, a couple of water pipes and stuff to get off in around here, but hopefully straightforward. We're going to have to identify where our knock sensor A is then, which bank it's on, when we're in here. But I'm going in to get a look at this thing first and see where we're at. Okay, just to show, there's our fault code P0328, knock sensor combustion vibration sensor A. Circuit height. Okay, I've taken off a little purred solenoid here, and I've taken off a throttle body. Sitting there, that bit is easy. I do see a bracket. There's one bolt sitting there, but then I see another bracket further in, which you probably can't see. It's sitting back in there. I'm thinking maybe the easiest way to get this might be just to get off that little bit of an aluminium housing around there, probably about 6 bolts sitting around here. Take out that bracket and get that out so I can get in at the other one. And then at that stage I might take out my 5 or 6 here, and hopefully we're getting close. Simple. Okay, slight change of plan. I couldn't get at the bracket that's sitting in front of that throttle body to come off. I couldn't get at the bolt on the bottom that easy. Isn't it awfully awkward? But it was awkward enough for me to change my mind. So I could get at the bolt on the second bracket in at the back, handy enough. Got in at that, got that out. Then I have another one that's in here behind the intake manifold. Potentially, maybe they want us to take off all that stuff. But I've gone in and I've got at that, again, a ratchet, little swivel head, ratchet 14 spanner. I was able to get that out relatively easy. And the only other thing I'm going to point out is the bolts I took out of this intake manifold here. There is just a nut and studs, one sitting there and there was one sitting there. So I'm taking out the studs, and where am I going? What am I going to show you? Yeah, just to take out the bolts of charts. It's pretty simple, but let's see what they are. Haven't a clue. Sorry, that's not great for you, but it's an E8. Maybe you can't see it. An E8 socket. Take out the studs, and it should have an intake manifold. That little breather pipe sitting on there that came off with my intake manifold. There's the pipe. That bit wasn't too bad. I'm changing plugs in here as well. 3 plugs in here that I potentially won't be able to get at again for someone without doing the same job. So I'm changing all 6 plugs, 3 there and 3 back there, just while we're in here. Okay, we are in. I unplugged the 6 injector wires, but I didn't take off fuel lines or water hoses off of this side. When I pulled it up, a little bit of water did trickle out in the ground, but I've that just pushed to one side. And lo and behold, we've one knock sensor there, and we've another one sitting just there. Okay, figure out which one is which bank, where we're going to go. Do I leave it connected? We'll figure it out anyway. We'll carry on. At this point in time, I think I'm going to unbolt. I might even take out that water hose. I'll see if I need to, or if I can or can't or whatever, but we'll get in and see. Maybe I should be replacing 2 of these when I was in there. Potentially. Would it be a wiser way to go? Couldn't go wrong then. Okay, we have our knock sensors removed, and I'm on a 10 volt scale, and what have I? 2 seconds per division. Right, so what I'm going to do, knock sensor, 2 leads connected to the knock sensor. I'm just going to tap. You can see, I'll stop tapping. Stop tapping. Stop. So that seems to have a relatively nice waveform there. That's one bank, there's another bank. Again, seems to be working too. For the last test with the new one, I think I kind of pulled out of my wires a little bit there. Oh. How do I condemn one of these? Maybe we should zoom in and start looking at a better picture. Okay, go. Right, lads, what I'm doing is I'm testing all three sensors. I'm just going to get this thing running, and I'm putting them all on so I have a longer time span here. So we're going to do a nice tap. Okay, that's the new sensor. Here's another one here. I don't know what this sensor is. We haven't marked in the car, but in hand, I don't know. Same kind of a tap. And then I'm going to go along and back onto the other one. Don't know if we got that right today. Yeah, I'm happy enough to condemn that one. These two are very, very similar. That one is just a lot higher in amplitude. And that's the one that's marked in yellow. That's only just pure coincidence, only just a mark to try to identify. But these are the two that I'm going to put back into her. Okay, drive on. Okay, our bad one is back here, so that's bank A and bank B. Just for anyone, that was identification. I was trying to figure out what banks were where. So normally like bank 1 or bank 2, but bank A, and he was back here, bank B is there. And that's only proved from my sensor high voltage, and maybe that's helping someone. Have the sensors volted back in now. Time for my little paper to come out and that part of the intake manifold to go back on before I replace plugs and stuff. Okay, to get the 3 plugs out of the back bank for a new set sitting up there, and to go in to the normal individual, sure, it's just 3 plugs when you're in there, pull it out, you'll be grand. For me, when I was taking it out, it was kind of like, oh, do you want to snap? And then you get this, your heart is up in your mouth taking out 3 plugs because it's hard to get in there to start with. You can't see anything in there. And then, anyway, they came. So whip you do, we are out. But what should be relatively easy for about 15 or 20 minutes there was stuff. Anyway, neither here or there. Set of plugs, ready to go back in. Have a bit of tape back in. I have my intake manifold squeezed back down. The aluminium part, I mean, it sits in between the 2 heads. And throw in the set of plugs, and then we're going to start getting on the plasticky bit back on the top. 6 plugs changed. Intake manifold. On the way back in. Again, I'm suggesting it'll go in relatively. Zip. Nice and easy one. Relatively easy was put in the 2 studs that we removed at this point, and then we start lining up a couple of bolts on the back. The 3, 1, 2, 3. Intake manifold in, lads. What I done is I squeezed in my bolts here on this thing before I put them in, and before I tightened these bolts I actually got into 3 bolts. So 1, 2, 3 would have had movement on the manifold. Once them in, then I squeezed down this, and then I nipped up my 3 back bolts. All right, simple enough. Again, ratchet spanners got into the back of them and squeezed them up. Okay, purge solenoid back on, connections back on, a little bit of an air box here from this stage. In theory I'm back together, except for the bits and pieces that I have to figure out that the apprentice lad took off. Very little, I think, involved in it now. A couple of covers, as I said, and stuff, so 1 or 2 bits of plastic around here. That's it. Right, we're going to squeeze this thing up, get it running, clear a few faults and see what we're at. I had this thing out on the road for a 15-mile drive or so, and this thing was coming back within, 2-3 minutes of driving. We've seen it fairly fast, so after the 15-mile drive where I have no fault codes, we in theory are done. Yeah, I hope someone got something from this thing. Nothing too fancy or too exciting. On the oscilloscope, you can use frequency on a multimeter to do the same thing as well. So just go to frequency, back probe the sensor, tap it again, and your numbers will change. It's not as maybe detailed and might be harder to prove on this one without an oscilloscope, only if it failed fully where we are getting a higher voltage than what we were on one of them than what we were on the new one and on the old one. So that's it. Look, guys, for this one, please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all next cartoon. Lexus RX400h. Guys, see you all in the next cartoon. Talk to you later.